The door didn't just close, it snapped shut, hard enough that the sound echoed down the quiet street. That was my eldest daughter. She didn't yell, she didn't cry, she didn't hesitate. She just shut me out. I stood there for a few seconds longer than I should have, staring at the door of the house I helped buy, wondering how someone I raised could look at me like a problem to be hidden. I adjusted the torn coat on my shoulders and walked to the next address. My middle son opened his door only halfway. He didn't invite me in. He didn't ask questions. He slipped a few bills into my hand, avoided my eyes, and muttered something about being late for work. Then he gently but firmly pushed me away. 2 children, 2 doors, 2 rejections. By the time I reached the third house, my hands were shaking, not just from the cold, but from something deeper. And that's where everything changed. My name is Margaret Hale. For over 3 decades, I built a logistics company from nothing. After my husband died, people assumed I'd lose everything within a year. Instead, I worked myself into exhaustion. I learned contracts, negotiations, supply chains, things I was never meant to handle alone. I swallowed insults, survived betrayals, and expanded the company beyond anything my late husband had imagined. I did it all for my children. I made sure they never struggled the way I did growing up. I paid for private schools, overseas degrees, weddings, cars, houses. Every time they needed something, money appeared. And slowly, without realizing it, I replaced love with convenience. The wake-up call came one quiet evening in my office. 3 phone calls, same day. One daughter wanted money for renovations. One son needed capital for a sure-thing investment. The youngest, my youngest, just asked how I was feeling. That difference stayed with me, so I made a decision most people would call cruel or reckless. I decided to disappear. I told my lawyer to keep quiet. I withdrew no money. I dressed in clothes from a secondhand shop. I let my hair go gray and unwashed. I carried everything I owned in a torn shopping bag. For 3 days, I lived like someone no one notices. People avoided me. Some stared. Most pretended I didn't exist. By the 3rd night, I knew exactly what I needed to do. I would knock on my children's doors, not as their wealthy mother, but as a woman who had lost everything. My eldest daughter lived behind security gates and manicured hedges. When she finally opened the door, she looked me up and down like I was something embarrassing. I told her I had lost the company, that I had nowhere to go, that I just needed one night. She glanced over my shoulder, checking who might see us. Then she said something I'll never forget. "This really isn't the image we want right now." She offered shelters, excuses, sympathy that sounded rehearsed. Then she closed the door. My middle son let me inside, but only into the entryway. He listened with crossed arms, calculated, measured. Then he handed me some cash and said I should get a motel, clean up, and call him when I was stable. He said he couldn't afford distractions. I took the money, not because I needed it, but because I needed to remember what it felt like to be reduced to a transaction. By the time I reached the 3rd house, I was exhausted. It was small, paint peeling, a crooked fence, no security cameras. The door opened immediately. My daughter-in-law stood there. The same woman I had quietly judged for years. She didn't hesitate. She didn't question my story. She didn't look at my clothes. She took my arm and pulled me inside. "Daniel," she called, "your mom is here." My youngest son looked at me like his heart had just broken in half. They didn't ask how this happened. They didn't blame me. They didn't worry about appearances. They worried about me. They gave me their bed, heated water for a shower, cooked soup from whatever they had. That night, as I lay awake on their couch, I heard them whispering in the kitchen. They were talking about selling their wedding rings so they could afford groceries. For me. The next morning, my lawyer arrived with security. The truth came out, and suddenly, the children who had closed their doors wanted to talk. But it was too late. I had already seen who they were when money was gone. and who they were when love was all they had left.